Have you ever felt like your life is stuck on repeat? You wake up, go to work, come home, scroll your phone until you're too tired to stay awake, and then you do it all over again. Days blur into weeks, weeks into years, and somewhere in the middle of it all, you stop and wonder, why does this feel so empty? That feeling isn't just you. It's not some personal failure or flaw. It's something deeper. A quiet realization that life as we know it often feels like a script we didn't write. And the scariest part, most of us never even question it. We're told we are free, that we can be anything, do anything, choose our own path. But let's be honest, does it really feel that way? Most of us follow the same basic steps: go to school, get a job, pay bills, maybe retire if we're lucky. It's not freedom, it's a treadmill. Even the little choices, what to eat, what to watch, what to believe, are shaped by forces we don't see. Ads tell us what we should want. Algorithms nudge us toward what to click next. Social norms define what's acceptable and what isn't. So I have to ask, are these really your choices? Or are they just options placed in front of you by someone else? It's like being handed a deck of cards and told to pick one. Sure, you get to choose, but only from the cards they've given you. Think about how much of your life happens through a screen. We don't experience reality directly anymore. We consume it secondhand. We don't live moments, we record them for others to see. This is what philosopher Jean Baudrillard called hyper-reality. When reality gets replaced by simulations of reality. Everything becomes filtered, curated, packaged for consumption. And somewhere along the way, we lose touch with what's real. When was the last time you felt truly alive? Not because something you watched or bought, but because of something raw and unfiltered that you experienced. It's rare these days, because modern life makes it hard to tell where reality ends and simulation begins. Modern life doesn't just feel repetitive, it feels absurd sometimes. You spend hours on hold with customer service or fill out forms that lead nowhere. You follow rules no one explains and systems no one seems to understand. Franz Kafka captured this perfectly in his stories. People lost in bureaucratic mazes, following orders that make no sense. It's not just fiction, it's our daily lives now. And yet, we accept it. We laugh about how ridiculous it all is, and then go right back to playing our part in the system. But here's the thing. This isn't just about blaming society, technology, or anyone else for how things are. It's about recognizing something important. That feeling of being stuck in a loop isn't just a problem with the world around us. It's also about how we've learned to live within it. We've grown comfortable in this system, even dependent on it. Because stepping outside feels terrifying. Think about it. The loop may feel repetitive, even suffocating, but at least it's predictable. There's a strange kind of safety in knowing what tomorrow will look like, even if it's just more of the same. Imagine you're standing at the edge of a dense forest. The path you've been walking on is clear and well trodden, but it only leads in circles. Off to the side, there's an opening into the unknown, a chance to break free. But that path is overgrown, unmarked, and full of uncertainty. Which one would you choose? Most of us stick to the loop because we feel safer than risking what lies beyond. And then there's the fear of failure. What if you step off the path and get lost? What if you try something new and it doesn't work out? Society doesn't make it any easier. It rewards conformity, not experimentation. It tells us to stay in line, follow the rules, and avoid making waves. Think about how often we're told what success looks like. A stable job, a nice house, a family by a certain age. These expectations aren't inherently bad, but they can become chains if we follow them blindly, without asking whether they align with what we truly want. And then there's social media, the constant comparison game. You see someone else living their best life, and suddenly your own feels inadequate. So you work harder to keep up, to fit in, to prove that you're doing okay, even if it means staying stuck in the same loop that's draining you. But here's where things can change. When you start asking questions, not just about the world around you, but about yourself. What do you actually want? What kind of life feels meaningful to you? These aren't easy questions to answer. Sometimes they're uncomfortable, even painful, but they're essential. Because once you start questioning the loop, its grip begins to loosen. you realize that those expectations and routines aren't laws, they're just habits, and habits can be broken. This is what Kierkegaard meant when he was talking about stepping away from the crowd. It's not about rejecting society altogether, it's about finding your own voice within it, about living authentically instead of just going through the motions. But just because life feels like a loop doesn't mean it has to stay that way. The truth is, the loop only holds power over us as long as we let it. The moment we start questioning it, really questioning it, we begin to see cracks in the wall. Philosophers like Viktor Frankl remind us that even in the most rigid systems, we still have one undeniable freedom: the ability to choose how we respond. Life may not always give us control over our circumstances, but it does give us control over our perspective, our actions, and ultimately our meaning. The beauty of being human is that we don't have to accept the script handed to us. We can rewrite it. We can create meaning where there was none before. It doesn't have to be grand or world-changing. It just has to matter to you. Maybe it's finding joy in a hobby you've always wanted to try. Maybe it's reaching out to someone you care about and sharing a real moment of connection. Maybe it's simply stepping outside and noticing the world around you. The way the light hits the trees, or how the air feels on your skin. Albert Camus once said, "The struggle itself towards the heights is enough to fill a man's heart." Life doesn't have to be perfect or even make sense for it to be worth living. What matters is that you engage with it fully, that you take ownership of your story. So here's where we stand. You can keep going through life on autopilot, following the same patterns, letting the loop define you. Or you can choose something different. You can choose to wake up, to see life not as a prison, but as a canvas waiting for your brushstrokes. It won't be easy. Breaking free from old habits never is. But every small step, every conscious choice, takes you closer to a life that feels authentic and alive. The loop isn't unbreakable. It just feels that way because we've been taught not to question it. But now you know better. Now you see that freedom isn't something given, it's something claimed. So go ahead, take that first step. Ask yourself what truly matters and start building your life around it. Because even in a world full of loops, there's always room for something new.